How did the lack of love affect your relationships, though?
I couldn't love like I was supposed to. I was always scared somebody was going to take my relationship, take the man that I had, and they usually did, because I was a little kid, I guess. A lot of the guys said I acted like a little kid when I was too jealous. I wasn't stable in my relationships. That's life, I guess. It's my life.
All right, Julie.
Yes.
Julie, where'd you grow up? Where are you from originally?
I was born in Houston, Texas.
And tell me about your childhood. You had both your parents when you were young?
I had my mother, and I'd never met my real father, but my mother, I was with my mother off and on until I was 3 years old. And after 3 years old, she brought me here and dropped me off and left me here.
Here in Skid Row?
Yes, on Skid Row. I've been on Skid Row ever since.
Your mom brought you here at 3 years old?
Yes, and dropped me off and told me, bitch, I just sit you out. You get on with your life the best you can.
At 3 years old?
At 3 years old.
Did you have anyone to stay with? Or
no.
As a 3-year-old, you barely can...
Well, I could barely make it, but I met some people. I went in and out of foster homes at the age I was 14. And after 14, the court, I guess they gave up on me because I wouldn't stay in no foster homes. I always ran away.
Why do you think your mom wanted to get rid of you at 3?
Well, my mother used drugs like I have, heroin and crystal meth. I've been on heroin all my life, and I just started using crystal meth, but my main drug is heroin. It takes the pain away, and it eases my life for me.
What age were you when you started using heroin?
I was age 3 years old. My mother shot me up before she dropped me off here in LA.
Your mother shot you up at 3 years old?
Yes.
With heroin?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the youngest age I've ever heard.
I know.
How old are you now?
I'm going to be 70 years old July 10th.
You look pretty healthy for a 70-year-old.
Thank you. I try to maintain. Sometimes it's very hard, but I do it.
What does heroin help you with?
Heroin helps me deal with life.
What are the hardest parts of your life to deal with?
The hardest part is getting up knowing I don't have a family. The family I have is where...
Your dog.
My dog. I wish I had a family, a mother and father, but I don't.
Yeah, you never had?
No. I've always been on my own. And I don't wish that on any other human. Because it's a terrible feeling when you don't have family, especially when you get into trouble or you have problems and you need to go to somebody and talk to them. I had to go to total strangers to ask for help. That's not a very good thing, because some people think you're either, even when you're young, you're a prostitute, or, they can take advantage of you. I've been raped, I've been gun put to my head, I've been beaten, and I don't wish that on nobody. I hope that no other parents do what my parents did to me, bringing their kids out here and leaving them.
So you've been on Skid Row pretty much your whole life?
Yes, sir.
Living in a tent?
No, I don't like tents. I like to see what's coming at me, so I usually just sleep on the sidewalk. And a lot of times we steal our blankets, and so I usually get a blanket before the end of the night, or we just curl up together with my coat. That's how me and her survive.
It gets pretty cold here sometimes. Pretty
cold, but she throws a lot of heat out, and I'd rather be with her than in a tent where I can't see what's coming at me.
Yeah. And how do you support yourself?
I go out and I recycle. It's real hard for me now, but I used to recycle. I could recycle real good now. I have crippling arthritis. You can see in my hands. It's hard to pick up bottles, but I pick up cans and plastic, or I don't like to panhandle. Sometimes I do. Or sometimes I just stand where they panhandle and people help me out. Other than that, I don't do nothing against the law because I don't want to go to prison. And nowadays, you go to prison for anything, I hear.
What did you do when you were younger for money?
For money, well, I used to bartend. I bartended for many years. And I loved bartending because I met a lot of people and they would give me good tips, and that's what I lived on, was my tips.
But you never did like prostitution or anything of that, Nick?
I think I've done it twice and I don't like it because it's not a thing for a woman to do. Sorry.
No, I agree with that. Have you ever had children or relationships?
I've had relationships. I couldn't have children because just something in me, when I get pregnant, I miscarried right away. I don't know what it is. They said it was to do with my health or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So the only child I really had was Weta.
Right.
And she's a good eye she knows good people from bad. So I kind of listen to her when somebody comes on around me and she lets me know they're a good person or a bad person.
Do you, have you ever had contact with your mom again?
No.
You have no idea where she is?
I don't know if she's even alive.
Yeah, she's probably not alive now, but after you were 3, you never talked to her again?
No, she when I seen her at 3 years old, she told me, "Bitch, I just shit you out, now get on with your life the best you can." So I did what I had to do.
And do you blame your addiction on the fact that you were introduced to heroin at such a young age, or are you numbing the pain of not being loved by your parents, or is it a combination?
I'm numbing my pain.
From just not feeling loved?
Because it takes the place of not feeling love. Because when you do heroin, you don't have feelings.
Do you feel like you were ever loved by anyone?
No, only Weta.
What's your biggest regret in your life?
That I couldn't have gotten married and had a fabulous life as a wife with a husband. But I couldn't because I didn't even know what life was. I thought life was what was out here, and I learned it was different. And I don't think I could ever have a life like that. I wish, but it's kind of late to wish now. So me and Weta just go on with our life every day. Maybe to some people it's not a good life, but it's the only life that me and her know.
Yeah. Do you have any friends?
No. Friends, they're my friends for what they can get from me, and then they leave.
Yeah, living on the streets is hard.
It's very hard. You don't have friends. People, your friends, they're only your friends for one reason. What you got, they want it, and then they take it, and then they leave, and you don't see them no more.
What was the hardest thing you ever went through in your life?
When I got raped, and 14 guys raped me, and then they killed my 2 dogs, Duke and Daisy. They were Jack Russell Chihuahua like Weta. This happened about maybe 5 years ago. I had Duke and Daisy for a long time. I got them, and then I got Weta when she was real young. And these 14 guys got me. It happened just a couple blocks from here, and raped me. And then they tied me up, made me watch them shoot my dogs in the head. And that was the hardest thing for me to ever go through. Because they didn't want anything but love. They didn't deserve to die. I don't know why they didn't just do that to me and let my babies live.
What do you worry about?
What do I worry about? What I don't know if they're going to come up. want to try to rape me again. I don't think so. I'm kind of old. I am old. But if they do, they'll have a rude awakening coming this time.
It's interesting that you still look so healthy, and you're mentally, you seem to be there 100% mentally, and your heroin use has been throughout your whole life?
Yes.
Even when you were working as a bartender?
Mostly was crystal meth when I was working as a bartender.
Yeah, but you've had some hardcore drug use throughout your whole life,
yeah.
and you've had jobs, and you've been...
And I've had, matter of fact, my last bartending job, my boss come in the bathroom, I forgot to lock the door, and she caught me shooting heroin, and she fired me. Because of the fact I was a good bartender, but she didn't want a heroin addict on the property. And I can understand that.
Yeah. What would you say is the most important lesson you've learned in your life?
That you have to, the hardest lesson is is the drugs that I use. And I want to get off of that. But I don't know if that'll ever be, but I'm tapering down. The hardest lesson is that I don't have a mother and father I can go to, even now.
That changes everything for a person, doesn't it?
If you have family, yes. I don't have. And especially around the holidays is when it really gets to you. But I just smile and just keep on going. Because I have to, because of weather. Sometimes I wish I could just give up and die, but God will take me when He wants me. And I don't know what I'm still doing here, but I'm here for a reason, so.
What do you think, how do you think that not having your parents around, not having the love of parents has affected the way you had relationships with?
If I would have had love from my parents, maybe my marriage would have lasted. Maybe I would have been able to adopt some children.
How did the lack of love affect your relationships, though?
I couldn't love like I was supposed to. I was always scared somebody was going to take my relationship, take the man that I had, and they usually did, because I was a little kid, I guess. A lot of the guys said I acted like a little kid when I was too jealous. I wasn't stable in my relationships. That's life, I guess. It's my life. I don't have a relationship now and don't want one. I have Weta, and her love is so special to me.
Yeah, dogs are great, aren't they?
She loves me unconditionally, whether we have anything. Some days we go without eating, but you know what? She don't care. She sticks with me. Their love is unconditionally more than a human's love.
How far did you go in school?
I only went to the 7th grade, and I was pushed through that, to that. I don't know my multiplication tables, but I know how to, if I have somewhere and I have money, I know how to pay my bills. I know how to do that.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like life is unfair?
Sometimes. I wish that I could have a home, a place where I could be proud and say, this is my home, where I could go in and cook in my kitchen. Give her a loving home where we could have a TV, like a normal person. I don't know if I'll ever have that. But I'm praying one day maybe God will give me a chance to have a home. I wish so much to have a home, place where we could say, we're going to go home. And have friends who say, oh, I'm going to my home now, I gotta go home and cook. That would be so great, to be able to wash my clothes in my home.
Did you ever have that?
I had it a home. I had a place where I was living with somebody, but it didn't last long.
Yeah.
But it would be nice.
What emotions do you deal with now? Do you get depressed?
I get very depressed. I go see a mental health.
Therapist?
Yes, and I go in and sometimes I tell them I want to kill myself. Well, they put me in the hospital for a couple of weeks, and she's my service dog, so they usually take her with me. And the hospitals won't, but most hospitals take them. If not, they put her in a shelter. And then I get out, but a lot of times I don't want to live in this world. I wish I could be like everybody else. Have a home. Have somewhere where I could say, yeah, I have a house. I don't like to tell people I'm homeless because they look down on you. Other people, they say they love homeless people. There's so many people that hate you because when you tell them you're homeless, they turn their back and walk away on you.
What was your favorite memory in your life?
I don't think I have. Well, no. The day I got Weta is the most famous memory. They had her in a little basket with a pink bow. They're dead. These people are dead, but they were my friends. They were homeless, but they had a place they had made, like a log cabin out in the hills. And they let me come out there and stay with them, and I stayed. I'd go do my recycling and come back, and the lady would have dinner made. It was very nice. And they said, you need a dog in your life? I said, yeah, sure, I can't. They're not going to give me a dog. And they went and got Weta. This was almost 9 years ago. And they had her in a big basket with a big pink bow saying, hello, Mom, when I come home. And she's brought a lot of happiness to my life. She's brought, I don't feel alone as I did. And when I'm feeling down, it seems like she knows because she comes and she puts her arms around me and she wipes my tears and she kisses me and she'll bark at me like, I'm here, I love you. And their love is so different from humans.
Do you feel like you were betrayed by your parents, your mom?
Yes. I feel like, why couldn't they have me? Why couldn't they be my mom and dad? Especially holidays. Weta. I love you, Weta.
Do you feel like you're worthy of a better life than this?
Yes.
That's great.
I hope so. Before I die, I hope I could get a life.
Because sometimes a person's self-worth gets beaten down when they come from the background you have.
But I feel like I should be able to get a life before I die.
Do you have hope of something better happening for you?
Yes, I'm hoping. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I pray every night and ask God to please let us have a home so that Weta knows I'm a good person. And because she gave me her love, and I want to give it back to her. I want her to know a home. But people tell me they don't care. They love you unconditionally. And people say, we can see she loves you, Weta. If I didn't have her, I wouldn't want to live.
Julie, thank you so much for sharing your story.
You're very welcome.
I wish you and your dog the best of luck.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. I hope that helps some people. I really do.
I think in different ways it can help different people.
I think so.
To be better parents.
If only they knew what it's like for a child not to have parents.
To be kinder to the homeless, all kinds of things.
Yes. Because even though we're homeless, we have problems too. And maybe we're not having good days. We don't need to be